Okay, I'm just going to start standing this morning, shake it out a little bit. Take some deeper breaths. Imagine you're at an Olympic final of choice. And then we're going to start to just take that into some nice twisties. So just letting the arms move. Now moving the hips as well, bending the knees. So I'm getting a little movement rolling through the feet and the ankles to wake up the toes and the nerves all the way down through the legs. And you can choose to turn the head from side to side, or you can keep the head facing forwards, just tapping the arms gently around the back of the sort of the kidney area. And take the hands a little higher and tap over the back of the shoulders. So one hand goes around across the front, a little tap, the other one's still going around the back of the kidney area. And then we'll come back to steady. And bring the feet in a little bit more. Roll the shoulders round into some circles a few times, just to open the chest out a little more on the shoulders. And take that a few times in the opposite direction. And we'll come back into still. I'll bring the feet together. Now the toes to spread out, turning the palms forwards in mountain pose. So pressing the legs down, drawing the tailbone under a little, belly in. And then I'm going to release from there. I'm going to come down to the floor. So this morning we're just going to be using that trusty block, but we won't be using that straight away. I'm going to come down to the ground. So hands behind, chin towards the chest. As you lay down on the floor, we'll bring that right knee in and just draw that in towards the right armpit, slide the left leg out. It's going to gently lengthen out through the heel, so keeping it fairly soft this morning. From that leg out, we'll come into the other side. And then we'll bring both knees in towards the body. Give ourselves a little hug, so chin to chest, wrap the arms around the shins. Just draw that in a little bit, rounded spine. A couple of breaths here. And then an easy roll onto the right side. Use the hands to press down. Or spin the feet towards the back of the mat, come up onto all fours at the front, the cat-cow. So spreading the fingers out, taking an opportunity to get a little movement through the spine in this direction. So starting soft, see how it feels. Let your body warm up and then move into it a little more forcefully if you wish. So really just kind of working out what your body needs to do this morning. And I'm just going to take that into a melting heart. So the hands come forwards, the hips stay high, pressing the shins down. It's a straight line between the hands, the shoulders, and the hips. That includes the head following the line of the torso, pressing the shins down. It's an imaginary line, so you don't have to be using a mirror to make sure it's exact. Just a sense that you're not dropping the chest completely down into the ground, and you're pressing the hands down to activate the arms and the shoulder muscles, so they're not sitting in the joints purely and solely. Walk the fingers back in a little bit to move the hips out. Just change the balance so we can walk the hands in easily. We'll take that into child's pose. So I'm going to take the knees wide for this one. And allow myself to sit down. I'm going to bring the hands back underneath the head. And relax the shoulders. Getting that first nice deep stretch into the hamstrings, a little bit into the buttocks and the groins. Belly's drawn in just a fraction, actually sending the tailbone back a little bit. And lift up and bring myself back into an all fours position so that I can start to take a cat-cow with the child's pose added in. So the knees are narrow this time. Elbows, head comes to the floor, body reaches the thighs, lift up, draw the chest forwards, roll the shoulders back a little bit. Just to keep them away from the ears, really. You don't have to be very forceful with the shoulders coming back. It's just to keep them out of the way a little bit, more into a neutral position rather than riding up. Spreading the back out nicely as you press back. A few more of these. This time we'll just come up to sitting. So bring the knees together, grab the block, take the feet out wide, and sit back onto the block into my hero's pose. And then allow the arms to come out nice and wide. I'll bring that left arm across and right arm over the top. So just to catch my finger on the radiator there. And bring ourselves into eagle arms. So again, I'm just going to keep that gentle so the elbows are low today. But I'm going to draw the shoulders back a little bit. And then we'll release out of that. Take my arms across the opposite way. I'm noticing how different that feels in the shoulders just by crossing the arms the opposite way. Release from there. We'll come back up onto all fours, so just lifting the block out to the side. And from that position, I'm going to tuck the toes of the right foot underneath and lengthen the leg out. I'm going to press out through the heel, so anchoring through the toes, making sure that I keep my shoulders over my wrist. That in the attempt to take the leg back, I haven't kind of pushed back the body as well. Belly drawn in, head in line with the rest of the body. So neutral position, I press away from the floor a little bit. Take the rear leg away from the floor until it's about the height of my hip. Bend the knee, keep the foot flexed, and then on the exhale, I'm going to draw the knee through and see if I can bring my knee towards my chest. And take it back out again. And then the leg back out. And then bend that knee again. And draw the knee back in. Lengthen out. Once the leg is behind you, bend the knee again. Draw it in. Lengthen out. So just getting that buttock to work a little bit. 2 more. Last one. Lengthen out. Foot comes to the floor, knee comes down, and we do the other side. So left leg goes back, we lift, keep the belly drawn in a little bit, bend the knee, foot is flexed, draw it through, take it back, lengthen out through the leg, bend the knee, float it in, lengthen out, rebend, knee comes in as much as possible. You don't need to actually get knee to nose to touch, but it's more sort of a knee to chest, I would say. One more. And then as you take that foot, also position the other foot to the back of the mat. So you come into plank and we'll lift into a down dog. That does have a little move around. So pedaling the legs, just changing the weight through the body a little bit. Getting used to the idea of drawing those abdominals in. And then we'll walk the hands gently in towards the toes, meeting at the back of the mat in the forward fold. And bring your hands onto the shins, lift up halfway. Keep the weight in the toes a little bit. Exhale down. Come up again. Exhale down. One last time. And then bring the hands onto the hips. Soften the knees to lift up. And then we'll shake it out a little bit as we walk up to the front of the mat. The land with the feet hip distance apart, parallel, and spring. hands in towards the heart, draw the belly in, hinge forwards as you exhale. Long, slow movement. Put the right foot back into lunge. On the fingertips, step it back to down dog. Get the right leg high, scissor. Draw the knee in towards the chest and through to the front of the mat into lunge. And press off the toes. Forward fold. Hands on the hips. And we lift. Hands to the heart. Exhale down. Left foot back into lunge. Fingertips at the drop in the hip. Strong back leg. Stepping it back into our down dog. Taking the left leg high to scissor. Draw the knee in towards the chest and through for the lunge. And step it in. Hands onto the hips and lift. So hands up high and wide. Back into the heart. And let ourselves hold here, eyes closed if you wish. And just allow yourself to feel your legs underneath you and your feet. Making sure they feel parallel and aligned. And adjusting if you need to, without having a little look. It's just still with the eyes closed. And then we'll open the eyes and have a little look and see if what we think we've done with our feet is actually reality. And adjust again if we have to. And then exhale back down to the floor. We're taking the right foot back and dropping the heel in, ready to take warrior two. So we'll bring the hands alongside the body. Float that right arm forwards and up. Open gently. So any adjustments you need to do might be turning the chest a little more, stabilizing the hips, making the legs a little more focused on pressing down evenly through back and front, or just relaxing the shoulders out so you can stretch out through the fingertips. Now I'm going to bring the hands high above the shoulders, rotate down to the floor, spin the back heel, allow myself to take the left hand up towards the sky into a twist, bring the hand back down to the floor, step it back into a down dog, and forwards into a plank, half plank and up dog. If you're feeling a bit tired, knees to the floor, press chin to the ground. So you keep the strength going through the legs, and then we lift up hips into the familiar down dog position. A couple of breaths here, just to let the back of the legs stretch out a little more. We're trying to press the heels towards the back of the mat, so the word down doesn't come into that description. As you press the heels back, you'll feel your toes lighten a little bit. Just a little deeper into the calf and the soleus muscles. And then we'll draw the right knee through. The lunge. And a little spring off the back toes. Forward fold. And onto the hips. And we lift up. Bring the hands into the heart. Exhale down. We're taking the left foot back and dropping the heel in. Warrior two. So little micro adjustments or major adjustments if you need to, depending on how you came into that. And then bring the hands high again. Rotate down to the floor. Lift the back heel. Take the right hand up for the twist. Back down to the floor. Step into our down dog. Forwards into our plank. Your choice again, half plank, knees to the floor, or knees away from the floor. Back into our down dog. Draw the left knee in, forward lunge. And press off the toes into that forward fold. Hands onto the hips, and we lift up. Hands to the heart. Exhale down. Right foot back. We're going to come into high crescent. So we're going to bring the fingertips alongside the hips, lifting the chest a little bit. And then we'll slowly take the arms out wide as we turn the tailbone down. Bring the hands up towards the sky. And then back down to the floor. Drop the back heel and ready for warrior two. Hands alongside the hips again. Right arm floats forwards. And then inhale high. Hands down to the ground. Spin the back heel. Left hand lifts for the twist. Down to the floor. Step it back into the down dog. Forwards into plank. Half plank. Knees are there as the option. Into down dog. And we'll draw the right knee in, lunge through, step into the forward fold, and the hips, and we lift. And we'll do that second side. Hands to heart, exhale down, left foot back, strong lunge. Test your balance, lift the fingers, then alongside the hips, draw the tailbone down, arms out wide, and then down to the floor. Drop the back heel in for warrior two. Bring the hands onto that front thigh to lift if you need or wish. Hands come high, rotate down to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. Forwards into our plank, half plank up dog combo. And holding down dog. Checking the fingers are flat to the floor, knuckles are down. Rotate the armpits down towards the ground a little. And then we'll bring that left leg through for the lunge. And step it into the front of the mat. Last forward fold. Hands onto the hips. And let ourselves lift. Whew. And just shake that out a little bit. We're coming to standing balance. So bring the feet together. Find yourself a point to focus on that doesn't move. I'm going to shift the weight into that left leg. So pressing the leg down, drawing the hips into the center. And I'm going to bring the right knee in towards the chest, hands around the shin. So the same pose we did on the floor, except this is hopefully the standing still version. And allow that knee to lift towards the right armpit and trying to avoid too much bendiness in the bottom leg. And then feet to the ground. And we'll take it to the opposite side. And then release that leg as well. Okay, we're going to come down to the floor, so back into the front of the mat. Sweep the arms out wide this time, up towards the sky. Take a little bit of a back bend. Hands back into the heart. Exhale down to the floor. And step it straight back into a down dog. We'll take the right leg up and scissor open so as to bend the knee. The heel comes in towards the buttock. Going to lift up onto the tippy toe of the rear leg and then extend that bent knee back out again so we can straighten out and press that through the ball of the foot. And then we'll turn the hip back square and bring the leg back down. We'll do the same on the opposite side. We'll take the left leg up, we'll open the hip, bend the knee, heel in towards the bottom. Flex the foot, lift the knee as high as you can, come up onto the tiptoes, extend out, spread the toes, square the hips, and bring the foot back down to the floor. We're going to come into a plank, knees to the ground, elbows to the ground, coming all the way down to the floor. We're going to allow ourselves to take the hands out in front and the chest lifted, so kind of resting on that bottom rib, which seems to be in the wrong place this morning. Just wiggle around a little bit. Take the feet out about hip distance apart, boot laces down. Then turn the hands so little finger is on the floor, thumbs are towards the sky. And the chest is just that little bit lifted so you can look towards your hands relatively easily. Just to relax the shoulders down and out a little bit before we start. So imagine that you can make your shoulders wider and feel hopefully the shoulder blades spreading out a little bit and shoulders naturally retracting down into more of a neutral position for the shoulder. Belly still drawn in. You're going to take a little breath from there. We're going to alternate the legs and arms. So we're going to take first of all, the right arm and left leg away from the ground and then bring it back down. Do the same with the opposite side. And back down. So stay that little bit lifted from the floor. We can lift one leg, one arm, but press into the opposite side as well to help. So open out that hip flexor on the back legs. Opening out the shoulders. Taking quite a bit of effort to find the maximum range that I've got. The muscle contractions are a little bit strong. But remember, it's only body weight. We walk around every day with it, so we are used to it. Get into that psoas muscle as well. And that's the last one. Whew. Then chin to the floor. Wriggle out the hips a little bit. We'll change direction. So I'm going to bring the hands back underneath the ribs. Peel away from the floor. Bring the knees through and bring the feet out to the side. I'm going to just take a little bit of a flowing bridge. So we need the feet forwards. Hands behind. Ease our way down. So feet are hip distance apart. Nice long neck. Just wriggle the shoulders underneath a little bit. Lengthen out the spine a couple of times. Make sure your feet are a hip distance apart and the toes slightly coming in, knees slightly coming in. We draw the belly down to the spine and the lower back into the floor. Get the tailbone to lift. And then we're just going to lift up. Roll ourselves back down. So in reality, we only need to get a straight line between the knees, shoulders, and hips. If you want to press a little harder, you can do, but rather than pressing the hips up, think about lengthening your knees towards the front of the mat and your chest towards your chin. So the net result of that is you do lift a little higher, but it's not emphasizing just trying to drive through the hips up towards the sky. It's creating a lot more feeling of space in the spine. Do a lot of postures where we try to move through the body in two different directions at the same time. So this is not really any different. Knees forwards, chest back. Just flowing with your breath. A sense of fluidity through the spine. Right, that was the last one. And coming back down. As we arrive, we'll wiggle the toes in to the center line and the heels in towards the bottom. Take the arms out wide, like kind of block. And we're just letting the legs roll over to the right side, head to the left, little spinal twist. I'm going to keep this one loose and relaxed. Leg sink, top leg float. And then we'll bring it back up to the center. Realign the spine if we need, and take it out to the opposite side. And we'll roll over and bring the hands to the floor to lift ourselves up nice and gently. We're going to come into Dandasana, so we just draw the flesh out a little bit, legs out in front. So trying to get the heels and the calves to the floor. Sitting up nice and tall. And I'm going to take a little breath from there. I'm going to start to bring the left foot in and out towards the right hips and the knees pointing forwards. And the right leg comes across. Make sure both sitting bones are on the floor. Tilt the pelvis forwards. Draw the left hand up. Cross over to the right. Can the counterlever the arm and the leg. Draw the abdominals around a little bit. Look through that back shoulder. Release. Take the legs the opposite way. So we usually do this with a block underneath. So no block does feel a little bit different. Let's put it that way. Try and relax that bottom leg. Press down through the top foot. Counterlever the arms and legs to draw the body around a little bit more. And then we'll release from there as well. Take the legs back out in front, but we're going to have the feet about hip distance apart and the soles of the feet on the floor. Taking the hands behind the shoulders, fingers pointing forwards, we roll the shoulders back, take a little breath, lift the bottom off the ground, slide the bottom towards the knees, and reverse tabletop. Pressing down through the shoulders. Come back, just bring the bottom to the floor, allows us to lift back up again. And down. So we're not doing the swinging through version this morning. We're just taking the version that works a little bit more on the legs and the abdominals and the lower back. Shoulders still get a workout, but not maybe as much as we do in that core class. Lift up for a last time. This time I'll swing the bottom through, cross the legs over, bring the heels in, roll over the knees, and we're back into a plank. Just going to press out through the heels, belly drawn in. Now I'm going to take the right foot from the floor, about height of the hip, bend the knee, and I'm going to take my right foot over towards the left. So I'm going to spin, roll onto the side of that left foot, lift the hips up, just a little flip dog, opening the chest, using the ball of the foot on the back, side of the foot on the bottom, lift the hips up high, come back into the plank. And then I'm going to take the left leg, little bend, roll it over, lift, open the chest. And flip it back into the plank. And knees to the floor. And child's pose. And you can bring the hands underneath the head if that feels good, or you can leave them out, or you can take them towards your toes. And we'll lift from there back onto all fours for the final time. We're going to thread the needle through. So we're going to take the left hand up, open the chest out, fold it under and through. Excuse me, got a very runny nose this morning with hay fever. To breathe through the mouth a little bit more than I would normally. Roll that top shoulder round. Press into the shins a little, send the tailbone back, draw the belly in. Press into the floor again. There will be a right hand to lift and thread under. And we'll lift out of that. You're going to bring the feet forwards and allow the soles of the feet to come together and bring them in close to the body. Again, just wriggle out on the sitting bones a little bit. I'm going to bring the feet in as close as I can. Now hook my peace fingers around the big toes. Press the little toes down into the floor. Roll the shoulders back. Sit up tall. So just a little bit of time in cobbler's pose, just purposefully pressing the little toes in to get the groins to open out a little bit. The knees maximize the drop as best they can. And then we'll release those toes. Use the hands to bring the thighs back in. I'm going to roll gently down to the floor. And I'm going to move my block underneath the back of my head. I'm going to come into happy baby. So I'm going to draw the knees in towards the body, then out wide, chin to chest as I slide the fingers down over the shins and wrap the hands around the outside edge of the little toe. Let the head come back, tailbone down to the floor, and then just taking that 90-degree bend into the legs, so the soles of the feet present to the ceiling. Roll the shoulders back away from the ears a little bit. Strong grip through the fingers. A little rocking on the spine, if that feels good. We are trying to lower the tailbone to the floor. So we're actually thinking about the muscles inside the the pelvic girdle and the glutes as well, and actually thinking about drawing them down towards the floor. So quite a purposeful effort to bring yourself flat to the ground. Last little breath there. And then I'm going to bring the soles of the feet together again, and very slowly let my feet come down to the floor. And roll the spine back down again. So I'm into the supine version of Baddha Konasana. And this time I'm going to let those little toes relax. In fact, all of the toes. And the groins open. And trying to get the spine to feel long. So sometimes when we come into this, the pelvis tilts up towards the sky a little bit. We get an arch in the lower back. So we're trying to lengthen the tailbone away a little bit. And let everything soften off. And then we use the hands to gather the legs, bring them towards the center, and carefully take the feet out to the corner edges of the mat. Let the legs roll out. Hands by the side of the body, palms face up. Just let everything relax down into the floor as you close your eyes. A little soft jaw, easy breathing. There we have it. Time to start stretching the fingers and toes, feet and ankles. hands and a deeper breath in to stretch out. Slow draw of the feet back in towards the body. Find the knees come in for that little bit of a hug. And we'll roll onto our right side. Use the hands to press into the floor. Roll ourselves back up on the exhale. Spin round into seated postures, nice and tall. One breath here. And then bring the hands in towards the heart. Take a breath in as you close your eyes. Slowing in your exhale, dropping the chin, drawing the belly to the spine and bowing simply to the floor to seal our practice. Inhale, spine lifts. With the breath, the head lifts, the eyes open. Namaste. Have a nice day. Try and stay out of the rain. Have a nice summer's day. Cheers.